today we'll start in our comfortable seated position. Feel those sitting bones pressing into our mat. Close our eyes. Let those shoulders soften away from our ears as we lift from the top of our head, creating a nice tall spine. With our breath, begin to check in with how we are feeling right now before we start moving. And then make sure that we are checking throughout our practice how we are feeling, how our body is moving, if it needs anything in particular, a challenge, or maybe just a little bit gentle love. And then we'll inhale and we'll lift our nose up toward the sky. Open up in the front of our throat without closing it off. Make sure that we can still breathe and swallow. And then on our next exhale, let's lower the chin down to our chest. And now with our chest, chin close to our chest, we're just going to turn our chin toward one shoulder. And then come on back to the center. And then we'll move on over to the other shoulder. And then back to the center. And just gently moving side to side. We exhale over to the shoulder. Inhale back to the center. Exhale over toward the other shoulder. And we'll do one more turn to each side. Good. And then prime that chin back to the center of the chest. And then we can gently raise that back up to a nice neutral spine. And then exhale, move the chin around toward the shoulder again, just looking off next to us. And back to the center. And then over toward the other side. And to the center, and just side to side again. Good. Let's do one more to each side so that we are all on the same page. And then back to the center. And now let's inhale, lift our arms up high. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Reach the fingers. You can even give them a little wiggle. And then exhale, let's bring those arms back behind us. Open up the chest, lift the heart. Good. And then coming back up as we inhale, lifting the hands up high. And then exhale, back behind us, opening like we're just asking for a big hug. Good. And now let's give ourselves that little hug. We bring our hands around, crisscross them in the front, touching our fingertips to the tops of our shoulders. Spread those shoulder blades apart behind us. Good. Releasing the hands, inhaling up. Exhale, bringing those hands back behind, asking for the hug. And then giving ourselves a hug. Let's cross those arms in the opposite way this time. So if our right was on the top, now the left is on the top. Good. Let's release those hands. And then hands can come to our knees. As we inhale, we'll lengthen in the spine. And then exhale, just walking the hands around to the right. Little twist in the spine here. And then coming back around. Inhale again, creating space between those vertebrae, and then exhale, just walking around to the left. Little twist on this side. Good, and coming back to the center. And then let's bring those hands out in front of us. Walk the fingers forward. We'll roll over our shins. Find ourselves in a tabletop. Bring those hands underneath of our shoulders, fingers spread wide. And then exhale, let's round in our cat, tucking the tail, tucking our chin. And then inhale, dropping the tummy, lifting the heart in our cow. Good. Exhaling, rounding in our cat. And inhaling cow. Exhaling cat. And inhaling cow. Good. One more time. Each little cat and cow on the exhale. Rounding. Inhaling, arching. And then back to the neutral spine. We can soften those feet behind us if they are not already. We'll come down to a child's pose. Our hips are over our heels. Arms are out in front of us. Chests are sinking low toward our mat. Good. And then from here, let's inhale up to a baby plank. Shoulders are over our wrists. Hips are sinking down. Tail is tucking. And then exhale, elbows come to our ribs as we lower down to our mat. Hands are underneath of our shoulders. As we inhale, we scoop and we lift our chest up into a baby cobra. And then we'll press back into a child's pose. Inhale up into a little plank. Exhale, we lower down. Inhale, little cobra. Pull those shoulders back and then press back. Child's pose. Let's do that one more time. Inhaling up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, little arch. And then exhale, back to our child's pose. Good. Let's inhale up. We'll bring our right foot forward into lizard pose. Foot to the outside of that pinky on the right hand. Good. Left hand will stay on the floor. Right hand reaches up to the sky. And then exhale, we'll come back down. Find our balance. Inhale, high lunge. Well, high half lunge. Good. Exhale, hands come back down. Let's step back to our child's pose and flow through our half series. Inhale to our little plank. Plank can be on our knees, or if we ever need to, we can go to our toes. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale, little cobra. And then we'll press back to our child's pose. Good. From here, hips are over our heels. Let's just walk those hands over to the left, opening up that side body. And then we'll walk the hands all the way around to the right. And then we'll come back to the center, child's pose. Let's inhale, lift our chests up, bring that left foot forward into our lizard pose. Good. And then from here, little twist, lifting that left hand, pressing into the right, opening the shoulders. And then exhaling back down. Find our balance, and we'll inhale up into our crescent lunge or a high half lunge. Good. Exhaling, hands come back down. We'll step back, child's pose. Inhale, coming on up to our little plank. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale, little cobra. And then press back to our child's pose. Good. Let's walk the hands backwards. Hips stay over our heels, and we'll keep those hands going all the way back behind us. Toes and fingers are pointing toward each other. Pull those shoulders back. Lift the chin. Lift the hips for baby camel. And then exhale, hips will come back down. Hands will come forward, child's pose. Inhale up, bring that right foot forward. Let's lift up that right hand for a little twist. Keep sinking those hips down, opening up the chest. And now from here, let's point those right toes out to the right, about 45 degrees. Fingers on that left hand can point out a little bit to the left. Now begin to twist. We can reach behind us with that right hand. Turning those shoulders. Once we get the twist where we want it, we can begin to lower that left hip down in toward the mat. And then slowly we'll come back to our lizard pose. Inhale, crescent lunge. From here, let's lower our right hand down to our thigh. Left hand is going to reach back. Find those left toes. Bring them in toward our butt. And then release both hands, come down, find our mat, stepping back to our child's pose. Good. Inhale to our plank. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale, little back bend here. And then pressing back, child's pose again. Keeping those hips over the heels, let's walk the hands over to the right. And then all the way over to the left. And then we'll come back to the center. Child's pose. Let's inhale, bring that left foot forward into our lizard. And then we'll lift that left hand, little twist. Good, and now from here, let's point those left toes a little bit out to the side. Right fingers will go out to the other side. We can begin to reach back with that left hand, more twist in that spine, and then we can begin to sink that right hip down in towards our mat. And then slowly we'll come back to our lizard. Find our balance. Inhale, crescent lunge. Good, and then we can lower that left hand down to the thigh. Reach back with the right. Find those toes or the ankle. And bring the heel in towards our bum. Excellent. Gently releasing the foot. Hands come back down. Stepping back to our child's pose. Let's inhale up, flow through our little mini series here. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale, little cobra. Pressing back to our child's pose. Good. Let's walk the hands backwards. Lift the chest. Pull the shoulders back. Place the hands behind our toes. Lift the heart. Tuck the tail. Lift the hips. And then lowering down. And we'll come back to our child's pose. Good. Let's tuck the toes underneath of our tail. Open up in those ankles and in our toes and in our arches. And then begin to pull the shoulders back. Strong tummy pressing into our hands and into our toes. Let's lift up our hips. Bend the knees and find ourselves in downward facing dog. Lift up that right leg. And we'll step forward in between our hands for a lunge. Good. From here, inhale. Hands come up high. Good. Exhale. Let's twist to the right, opening up our arms in opposite directions. And then inhale those hands up high. Good. And then open up warrior two. Good. Inhale. Extended reverse warrior, lengthening that right leg, lifting the right hand up to the sky. And then exhale, side angle. Good. Let's place those hands back down onto the mat. Find our high lunge. Good. And now let's reach those fingers up. We'll lengthen in both legs. We'll begin to turn to the left. Oof. Got a little dizzy there. We're going to begin to turn to the left without falling down. And we'll point those toes to the back of our mat and find our high lunge here. Hands can come back down. Situate, find that balance. And then inhale, high lunge again. And now let's open up to the left, little twist. And then back to the center, lifting the hands. And then we'll lower that right heel, open up warrior two. Inhale, extended reverse warrior. And then exhale, side angle. Good. Both hands can come down to our mat. Find that lunge. And then inhale, hands come up high. Let's lengthen in that left leg. We'll gently turn toward the right and begin to turn toward the natural top of our mat. Hands can come back down. We'll step back, downward facing dog. Let's lift up that left leg. Stepping forward into our lunge. Find our balance. Inhale, high lunge. Exhale, let's twist to the left. Inhale, back to the center. And then exhale, opening up, warrior two. Inhale, extended reverse warrior. Exhale, side angle. Both hands come down to our mat. Find our lunge. When we're ready, inhale, high lunge again. Let's lengthen both legs. Begin to turn to the right and then all the way around to the other side. Find our high lunge here. And then exhale, hands can come down. Get ourselves situated. Inhale, high lunge. And let's twist to the right. And then inhale up. And then exhale, open up, warrior two. Inhale, extended reverse warrior. Exhale, side angle. And then both hands find their way back down into our lunge. And then hands come up high, high lunge. Lengthen in those legs, begin to turn to the left and then back around. Hands can come down. We've found ourselves at the top of the mat again, stepping back, downward facing dog. Good, let's walk those hands backwards towards our feet into a forward fold. Gently bend the knees, let the head just hang from our shoulders. Our arms can dangle, or we can hold our elbows and just hang here in ragdoll for a few breaths. And let's release our elbows, bend our knees so that our hands can find the mat here. I'm going to bend this left knee. We'll keep the left hand on the mat, and then we'll lengthen in that right leg and lift the right hand up to the sky. And then exhale, back down, both knees bend, both hands find the mat. Then we'll move over to the other side. So bending deeply in that right knee, planting that right hand down onto the mat, lengthening in that left side, lifting the hip up toward the sky, reaching with the hand. Our gaze can come up toward or past the fingers. And then exhale, coming on back down. And then from here, let's open up our feet, heel toe, a little bit wider than our hips, and we'll lower down into a malasana squat. Butt comes down towards our heels, elbows are inside our knees, palms pressed together at our hearts. Let's lengthen in that spine as we lower the butt down, lift the top of the head. Breathing deeply into our belly, might be able to feel our tummy press into our thighs as we inhale. Good. Let's lower those hands down. We'll walk them forward so that our knees find their spot. Soften the feet. Knees are nice and wide. Let's bring the toes together. We'll come down into a wide-legged child's pose. Good. Let's come back up. We can keep those knees nice and wide. Toes can come together. We'll bring the hands underneath of our shoulders, and let's inhale. Lift that right hand up to the sky. And then exhale, let's thread the needle. We'll bring the arm all the way through underneath that left. We can lower our shoulder down to the mat. Our head and ear can follow. And now this left hand can stay out in front, a la child's pose, and then begin to wiggle around to the right to help open up those shoulders. If we would like, we can place that left hand on top of the right to help open without forcing. Remember, we don't want to force our body to do something it doesn't want to do. And then we'll come back, unwind. Hands find their spots underneath of the shoulders. And then we can inhale, lift up that left hand. And then exhale, let's reach it through and thread the needle on this side. Lowering the shoulder and our ear down onto our mats, and keeping the hips over the knees, nice and centered. Good, and now let's unwind. From here, if we would like, we can take a cat and a cow or a few. And then we'll swish those feet over to one side. We'll help ourselves down onto our backs. Bring those knees into our chest. Roll up into our little ball. Now we'll do a reclined figure four. So we'll take that right ankle, cross it over the left knee, and then we'll reach in between our legs with our right hand, holding our hands together behind that left hamstring. Let the head and the shoulders rest in towards our mat, and then just encourage the legs to come in towards us. Don't want to use those hands to force. Just encourage it to come forward. Right, now let's release that hamstring. Keep the cross in our legs, and we'll just lower that left foot down to our mat. Keep that knee opening away from our body. We feel some help in the front of our hips now. And then from here, our knee and our foot will go over to the left. A funky little twisty hippie stretch. That's the technical Sanskrit term for that. Good, and now let's unwind. Come back to the center. Bring the knees into our chest. Now let's lift both feet up toward the sky, flexing the feet for waterfall pose. And now let's work that figure four on the other side, crossing the left ankle over the right knee, opening up that left knee away from us, holding behind our hamstring, and guiding those legs in towards us. Good. And now let's release that hamstring. That right foot can find the mat. Keep opening up that left knee away from us. And then we'll move the knee and the foot over to the right. Good. And now let's come back and unwind. Bring those knees into our chest. And then we'll lift our legs up toward the sky for waterfall pose again. Good. Let's lift our hands and reach up toward the sky with those fingers. Reach with our toes and our heels. Wiggle and rotate around in all of those little joints. One more inhale and reach. And then exhale. Let's lower our hands down above our heads. Our feet come down below our hips. Make ourselves super, super long. Then one more purposeful exhale. Let's release everything. Find a comfortable position. We'll close our eyes. We'll soften in our jaw. Unfurrow our brow. We give ourselves this time to just be still. No expectations, just peace. And then when we're ready, we deepen our breath. Begin to become aware of our body once again. We'll bring those knees in towards our chest. And we'll roll over onto our side. And we'll help ourselves up to seated. Finding ourselves back where we started. Take a moment to see how we're feeling now. Let's inhale, bring those hands up to the sky and connect them together at the top, and exhale them down to our hearts with a purpose. I wish you all a very, very happy day. And I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart that you take the time to join me and allow me to help you through your practice. The light and the divine in me recognizes and respects the light and the divine in you. And when we are together, whether physically or virtually, I keep a little piece of you in my heart, and we are together. Namaste.